Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 10K on the Bay. Thanks for joining me. This is our Monday night mastermind call. I'm super excited. We have two new members, and we're going to have a quick little introduction. We're going to get straight into, actually, let's just do a quick introduction. Mary, why don't you introduce yourself first and tell us a little bit about you and any wins for the week, and then we'll move to Laura.
Hey guys, so I'm Mary, also known as Field Defines on Instagram. I actually just became a full-time reseller just this weekend. I kind of have a customer retail background, and I realized that what I was doing previously wasn't really working for me. And so I picked up reselling somewhere along the way, and actually really digging it. And I decided to do full-time now. And let's see, a win for this week, I would say, would be that I hit my fourth 200-day sale in this month of July. So that's kind of like the highest sale I've had per day. I believe it was Saturday. And I think that from here, I'm just going to take it on. It's gonna go further than 200, I think.
Awesome. Laura, nice to have you.
Hi, how's everybody? So I am a third generation reseller. My grandparents owned an antique store when I was little, and I have always been an avid thrifter. I was taught by the best. I just started full-time selling in March, and I'm a cosmetologist by trade. I'm a hustler for life. And yeah, I'm just trying to afford to live in California and do it debt-free. My husband and I became debt-free over 2 years ago, and just trying to keep that lifestyle and hopefully eventually make enough cash to buy a house in cash. We'll see how it goes.
That's an amazing goal for California.
Yeah.
So we'll get into your goals in just a second. Let's go over wins and challenges for this week. Ashley, why don't we start with you? What went well? What didn't go well? How'd the week go?
Yeah, so this week was rough just because I did go camping for a few days. And that had been planned a long time ago. So that obviously stopped some things. And I was out of range, and it was, to be honest, like it was kind of nice to get away. And like I was forced to not think about business constantly and social media and answering DMs and all that stuff. But yeah, so Friday, usually my kids go Monday, Wednesday, Friday to our neighbors in the morning. And that's when I get a lot of stuff done. Like I can get in the zone. They were not able to go Friday or today. So that also cut into some things. So as far as wins for the week, I did have about 8 auctions for LuLaRoe ending on Sunday that were on 10-day auction. And I got them from someone who was just liquidating her LuLaRoe. She didn't want to do it anymore. So I got them at a good price. They ended, and it was my biggest day ever on eBay. And so that was good. It was around, I want to say $380 in sales.
Woo!
And then, so that was good. But because I sold so much, my listings are actually the same as they were last week, 138. But I have been listing today, and I took pictures for everything today, about 60 items that I photographed today. And while my kids were at the park just before here and we're eating chicken McNuggets, I mean, that's real, guys. Sorry, I know it's so gross, but like I had to go through the drive-thru on the way home from the post office because we didn't have dinner ready at home. And anyway, so I was listing while they were at the park, and then I plan on finishing those listings tonight. So yeah, so that's kind of how I do it. I photographed everything. I'm going to be listing throughout the rest of the night and hopefully get caught up, because I know I'd committed to 35 listings. I think I only ended up doing 25. And it broke even because I sold a bunch of things too. So working on that. So those are my like wins and fails for the week. Yeah. Oops. There you are.
Oh, Chris, we can't hear you still.
We can't hear you,
Oh,
Chris.
you can't hear
Oh,
me.
There you go.
Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
can't hear
Kevin,
Chris.
I was going to say, Kevin, go next. How was your week? Wins, losses?
Yeah, so the week was good. I think my goal was 200 pairs. I'm not sure exactly how many listings that is, but I got 175 pairs put up on eBay this week, so that was good. I fell short. 2 of the days I had things going on with work, and then I had a giveaway that I was doing as a type of mentorship that took like a whole night that I didn't expect it to. So that went well. That was fun. So this week I want to try to push myself to make up that extra 25 listings that I kind of left on the table, and just try to fix my listings. I have a couple of things that I've been editing into the listings that I think made them better. So besides that, pretty good week. Good sales the last every day for the last 3 days. I think I sold about 10 or 11 pairs, so that was good. So just a pretty solid week all around.
Any specific challenges this week?
I mean, you know how it is. I'm always pushing myself. So whatever you and I can come up with, we'll probably think of something over the next 24 hours, I'm sure, or if not even by the end of this video. So whatever we can come up with, I'm willing to try any challenge.
I think this is cool too, just as another side take. I think between the 8 of us, Holly's not here today, but we will shortly be over 100,000 followers combined, which is pretty insane on Instagram. So we're all
That's awesome.
moving up there. Sam, why don't you give us an update on how your week went? What went good or bad?
So my week was actually pretty good. I did over 4,700 on all my accounts, and actually, like, some of the challenge I had this week was finals. So I was taking finals, and I also had to buy one car for someone, a car for someone. So that was one of the challenge I had. But we listed on the account we're talking about around 112 items, and actually the price were like pretty good high-end items, so that actually bumped up my average price. And so my plan for next week is to combine one of my account with the other one, so I can just have 2 eBay accounts instead of 3, because having 3 accounts, I think it's hard to manage all of them, doing accounting, all that stuff. So with 2 Amazon accounts included, it's overwhelming. So for next week, I'll try to combine my second eBay with the third account. So that's my plan for next week.
That's a good piece of homework.
Yeah.
So let's go into Laura. What went well this week? What went wrong? And then and we have to do a little bit of catching up to do. So let us know how many items you have listed and for what dollar amount.
Okay, so you want my fixed price summary? Is that what you're asking for?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so I have 20,516 and 13 cents in active fixed price, and then I have $21.96 in auctions that will sell, and 932 active listings.
Wow, getting up there, almost 1,000.
By tomorrow, I should hit 1,000, and I'm super stoked about that. I can't wait.
Awesome. Did you have a specific, like, short-term profit goal that you want to get to by the end of the year?
So I'm thinking between 65 to 70,000 will be my goal in gross. Hopefully I can get there with fourth quarter coming, but we'll see. Gotcha.
And then, so we're just going to set a preliminary goal for you as well for 43.33 a month net. So we're working together. We also source together, guys, which is pretty awesome. The California crew, we're figuring out some different ways. Hopefully we can get into some wholesale as well. That's exciting. And then what went well this week, and what would you like to work on?
Well, I had one of my biggest sales today. I just posted it on my Instagram. I just sold a $200 dress, so that was awesome. And then what went bad today is that I kind of have been experimenting with my kind of what I want to do with my sales, just because I just started in March, and I feel like summertime is the time to experiment, since sales are kind of slow anyways, I can kind of mix things up a little bit without it affecting it too much. So I started a lot of new items on auction first at their highest known comparable sales price to see if I can just throw it out there, sell it the first week and forget about it kind of thing didn't turn out very well. I think fixed price listings for me is the way to go. I had a lot of auctions ending today and yesterday, and I honestly did not do very well with the auctions. So I think I'm just going to throw it at fixed price and only use auction to get rid of some items that I don't necessarily want in my store anymore.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Mary, tell us about your store. How many items listed and for how much?
Let's see, I'm at a active 435. And that's 9,656 with 58 cents for fixed price. And I have 0 auctions. I hardly host auctions. So that's 0 that will sell just because I don't really do the auctions. But
No worries.
feeding off of what Laura said, I feel like because it is a little summer slowdown and I am trying to clear up for Q4, I will be getting to be doing the auctions now for a lot of the items that I have. I think a lot of jackets are coming out too, and I have to have those listed just because the winter's coming and I know they sell. I think I do probably way better with winter items than I do with any kind of garments. So that's kind of what I'm working now. As far as things that went wrong, I had a few cancellations by the customers. They weren't really, I didn't state an answer or reason why. But I did have 2 cancellations this month of July. So that kind of, it was a surprise because I haven't had any canceled sales in a while.
Is that something you think you can work on, or is that just
Yeah,
not?
I feel like they didn't state the reason why, so I don't know why. There was one was in electronics, so it was a Panasonic cassette player. There's no reason for that. And a clothing item from just like any $5, $10 item. I don't understand why they canceled, but they did. And I don't normally experience any cancellations. So that's kind of like a taken back from that.
Sounds good. And we're also going to set a preliminary goal of you to get to 1,000 a week of 43, 33 net a month. So we'll work on that as we grow together and set goals. We'll set some homework at the end of the call. But let's go into Prince, who has some exciting news for us, and give us an update. What went well, what didn't go well, and
okay.
Work on.
All right. So yeah. So if you guys remember from the last call, my big goal was getting PayPal working capital. I've been struggling trying to get it because of all the holds and all the restrictions on my account. Not that there were anything bad, but just like, everyone has holds, and trying to get those removed and trying to get the loan was a big deal for me. So I actually downsized my entire business. By that, I mean I cut off all my, not cut off, I temporarily paused all my sales that are over $250 so that the hold will stop coming in. And then today, finally, I was completely clean. So I went ahead and applied for PayPal working capital today. And within seconds, I got approved. So I managed to get $80,000 from PayPal, which I will be using to buy more inventory. So my big goal with that now, like today I've been really busy just trying to source. I've been calling people nonstop, trying to get negotiate hard and buy a lot of inventory. So yeah, that's my day so far.
Do you foresee, so your biggest challenge right now is trying to just turn that into inventory?
Yep, pretty much. Like good inventory. You know, I don't want to just jump on any kind of deals. I want to make sure that the deals that I get are really good, because now with $80,000 in inventory, I want to make sure that, because, you know, things like electronics depreciate. So I have to make sure that like 3 or 4 months from now, that these items will still give me enough margins so I could profit well from them. So that's my goal.
That's money, because that's the topic I want to talk about, which is I'd like to discuss today your specific profit margin goals. So
Okay.
I think this is a cool topic to talk about, because especially with limited time, all of us are running low on time. And I think that it's important to look at the different profit margin versus our time. As an example, I used to, when I was first starting, just hoping to double my money after fees and everything, turn 10 into 20. But now after looking at the difference between new and pre-owned items take a lot more time to process, ship, pack, describe. Doubling my money is no longer worth it for pre-owned. It's still definitely worth it for new, especially if you're doing multi-quantity like Kevin. But I'd like to go into the strategy. I'd like to ask everyone 2 questions. One, what is your pricing strategy? And then secondly, your purchasing strategy. And second of all, if you had, let's say, $50,000 or an influx of cash to buy capital, would it change? So let's start with Ashley. How do you determine if you want to buy something?
So, yeah, I feel like if I constantly am talking about this on my Instagram too. Like, I wish I had more money. And that's just one thing that my husband and I disagree on. And, I would just love to take some of our savings and just dump it into this business because I know it's working. But yeah, if I had, let's just say I magically had an influx of money, I've been doing a lot of online arbitrage and it's been going well. And I would probably do that. I wouldn't mind, like, because the thing, like you were talking about with pre-owned items, it does take more time to process. And the two things I'm always thinking about are money and my time, because I have very little. How do I maximize what little time I have? And new items are lickety split to process, post, especially on Amazon. You slap a sticker on and it's done. And it usually sells much faster also. I don't know about eBay because my experience is more limited with eBay. Newest tags items on eBay, I'd love all of your opinions and whether or not they do better than pre-owned. But yeah, so I would probably just focus on new items that I can buy bulk and sell really through Amazon. Like, if I had a bunch of money, I would probably put most of it into Amazon because that's been my money maker. That's where I have a lot of ungated brands that I can sell that others can't. And that's where I can find a lot of online deals. The margins would be slimmer for sure, like probably 30%, 40%, maybe 20% sometimes. But I wouldn't mind spending more money to get a smaller margin, like spending $200 to get $100 back. That's fine with me on Amazon because if I know it's going to come back soon. I don't know if I'm answering your question right. I'm sorry.
No, that's the right answer. I mean, no,
okay.
You're answering it completely right. And I also want to make the point of, as people are starting to scale in my group, I'm starting to notice that the people who need employees, when they get to that stage, new with tags is easy because they can pull stock photographs. They can pull the information from the manufacturer website if they can scan it, versus duplicating a pre-owned item is almost like you find someone that has the skill of you. Identifying it properly, taking the photos, potentially repairing a certain electronic, which would be interesting to hear how Sam handles that. But let's go into Kevin. I don't know if you per se have a capital restriction, but let's talk about how you decide if you're going to buy something, and then what would happen, let's say, if you had twice the capital to invest.
Sure. I don't know if I have a capital restriction or anything like that. I mean, at the end of the day, I basically put all the profits right back into the product. So I'm never really cashing out. A lot of money is just sitting in product. So I spend about the same thing. I mean, the money that I spend per time I go out and source gets bigger because my sales get better because I have more things listed. So I think a month or two ago, I would go out and I would spend like $3,000 at a time or something like that. And now I spend 5 to 10 grand, depending on what's there at that time. So if I had more cash, would my strategy change? I was thinking about it while everybody else was answering. I don't think it would. Everything would still go the same. I look at it as an investment. If there was one pair of something and it had a good enough return on it, I'll take the time to list it. I really don't care. Second part of the question was, what's my purchase strategy when I go? Basically, I look at, can I make my projected return on investment and still offer the product for the best price so it sells the quickest? I'm not looking to sit on anything. So as long as I can do that, I'm pretty happy with it.
That's a really good point. I think because you have the ability to do 100% reinvestment. I was talking to this gentleman who told me that becoming wealthy is really easy. All you do is you invest 70% of your income, you save 20% of your income, and you live on the 10% that's left. And I'm like, what planet is that possible? How do you even achieve
California.
that? But and he said, yeah, basically you do that until the point where you're and you get in the habit of having these percentages in place, and so you don't change it. As your income grows, the ratio stays the same. Obviously, that ratio is insane of investing 70, saving 20,
Sure.
and only spending 10% of what you make. But the rule is the same. If we are always putting money into our business 100% back in, when is the time when you're actually taking money out or saving? Because I think every single person who's messaged me wants more savings, more invested. They want different buckets to increase, but
Sure.
most of us from what I've seen in the groups, is just reinvesting 100%.
Sure.
And it's a different habit versus like, just as an example, I want to hear you guys' opinion on this also. T. Harv Eker says, even if you're in debt, you should save money. Borrow an extra dollar and save that dollar. To get in the habit of saving money, then that ratio stays the same as you grow. Then you don't have to worry about your lifestyle changing, because some people, I know Prince isn't like this, but some people, when they come into a large amount of capital, their behavior totally changes. So it's interesting to hear, Kevin, that you would do the same thing pretty much with more capital. So
yeah, me and Prince stay in A1 until the day we die right here.
yeah. So Sam, I don't know your situation, but do you have a certain minimum ROI you're looking for when you pick something up? And then what would you do if you had extra capital?
I don't really have like I don't if as long as I can make over $10 on an item, I'm not worried. And like I look at the time how long it will take me to sell the item.
Okay.
And I'll try to focus on that. But like you said, purchasing plan, I don't really have a plan because I already have a lot of inventories that I need to list. So I'm not in a rush to purchase anything. But one thing I want to do is get into Amazon wholesale. So we're doing it just a bit, but like I want to be able to grow that, and I want to actually like reinvest most of my money into that and save 30% of what we were doing to saving. So that's our plan. So my goal is, to invest most of our money to Amazon wholesale, like find products, talk to manufacturers, and get products from there.
Do you ever, you said a 30% savings. Is that money that's not going back into the business?
No, yeah. 30% straight, like we don't use it. That goes straight into our saving account. So we make our profit overall is over 70%, almost the items we do,
Sure.
like overall. So yeah, from whatever we make, 30% goes straight to our bank on our saving. Yeah.
That's very cool. That's a nice set percentage. Hopefully that can stay the same.
Yeah, I also.
Laura, do you have a specific profit margin you're looking for?
I do, Chris. You go sourcing with me. I'm actually pretty picky when it comes to my sourcing, but I'm also very cheap. I didn't get debt free because I'm not cheap. I'm definitely cheap, and I try to keep my. Usually, I won't buy an item that won't get me at least $30, and I usually spend under $3 to buy it. Just because I'm in mostly used clothing. Every once in a while I'll find something new. But I try to make it my game to get that high profit margin on a very low price. So, and when you were talking about saving and debt to income ratio, all that's my wheelhouse. I mean, we followed, I don't know if anybody knows Dave Ramsey's system of how to pay off debt, but basically what he says is put a little bit of savings aside, so like $1,000 savings aside, and then use the rest of your income to pay off debt, pretty much. The way that we paid off our complete debt was literally getting our our household expenses down to the bare minimum. I'm talking, we didn't have cable, we didn't have a lot of things that most people have. We didn't have gym memberships, all that. Like my husband was not happy about that gym membership thing, but we didn't have that when we were paying off debt. Like getting those expenses down is really important. So when it comes to running my business, I'm the exact same way. Like I do everything I can to make sure my expenses are the bare minimum. And that comes to sourcing as well. And that just makes my money go a lot farther when my sourcing, budget is that much smaller.
Also, I think it's interesting to point out that Ashley and Laura both have 2 kids. So totally different bucket because they're responsible for more than themselves. I can barely feed myself. So this is very, very cool having people who are actually responsible on the call. So Mary, do you have a specific criteria when you buy something?
I think A little similar to Laura as well. I feel like I'm very picky at the beginning. I did try doing the bins. Well, of course, we're buying really cheap by the pound, and I realized that actually decreased my average sale price. I understood that it was cheap, but the prices that they were selling for were not where I wanted them to be. So, I mean, I've changed my strategy from always looking for the cheapest, because it's not always going to bring the highest ROI. So I've been a little bit more pickier with the items that I pick up. The margin could probably go either double or somewhere about probably double or a few more bucks than what I actually initially thought it was going to be priced at. What I'm doing with cash to buy capital, I feel like Kevin stated, I would just like to reinvest it back into there. Maybe eventually I'd pick up a little bit of Sam where I start pulling to save, but I'm at the early stages where I feel like it all needs to be reinvested at the moment. Just throwing back into the business and eventually start pulling out for the savings as I see my business grow.
Sounds good. Prince, you've got a little bit of extra capital now. So you had mentioned you want to be careful with it, but do you think of it mathematically like X amount, or, how are you?
Yeah, exactly. So, I think my story is a little bit more unique, just in this call, in that, I'm 23 years old. I'm very fortunate and blessed that no college debt. And, I have my monthly nut or monthly expense is bare minimum. It's just the food that I buy for myself. I don't buy anything else for myself. I'm not extravagant. So to talk about margins, my initial, because, with capital that I had, my margins were around 30%. That's what I tried aiming for. And that worked fine for when I had that capital. But now that I have more capital, I want to aim for a higher margin. And since I have the capital, I could leverage that money and the quantity that I can buy with a higher, margin. So, as you grow, especially in something like electronics, you're going to be getting more returns and more defects and just a lot more headaches. So you want to make sure that your margins are higher. So that's what I'm trying to go for right now. 45 to 50% is what I would like right now. And that's what I'm trying to shoot for.
Awesome. So, I want to share a story that's very interesting. When I went to Amazon ASD, I was talking to people about my initial business model, which was, buying junk. I heard from multiple giant like 8-9 figure Amazon sellers that told me that if you're going to buy junk, you need to buy 10 times more than you think you need and dispose of 10 times more than you think you need. And I was like, okay, whatever. And now, a few months down the road, I really understand that, because I was originally thinking, okay, if I double my money, that's good enough. But now looking at the junk, I can buy way more junk and increase my average sale price by double almost. So as an example, when I first was buying these wholesale lots, I was getting items for 10 cents, 25 cents, super, super cheap. And my average selling price was $22. And now, since I'm disposing of 90% of it, the cost is going from 10 to 20 cents to $1 to $2, which seems like a lot more, but my average sale price went from $22 to $43. So it doubled on the other store, which I share on YouTube, which is the Low-Key Husky store. It doubled with only $1 more on the cost end. So totally different. But then there's now a new cost of disposal, which is something I didn't figure. So if we're going to, I think there's a lot of opportunity in wholesale, liquidation, closeout. Sam has found experience with that. As retail companies implode and they can't handle all the overhead, they're going to be going out of business. There's going to be all this stuff for us to capitalize on. I think it's interesting to think about the fact that we may be buying way more than we think, but getting rid of way more than we think just to get those deals, because more and more I'm seeing opportunities. When I first started this journey, people were saying, by starting a YouTube channel, you're going to screw up your market because everyone's going to start selling what you're selling. But it's the complete opposite. Since I started this YouTube channel, the amount of opportunities is now endless. Now it's confusing what to pick because there's so many ways people are making money. Not one person on this call is making money the same way, which is pretty fascinating. So I'm going to challenge you guys real quick right now on what you could do to double your average sale price. I mean, this is an interesting thing. I'll start. If I were to double my average sale price, I'd basically move into I would not sell junk anymore. I would sell really high-end stuff. Like I would move into the luxury category. For me, if I was going to switch from right now my $43 average, I wanted to double it to $100 or more, I would start selling only luxury, Gucci or higher. And now I have enough capital to do that game. So just something that I would graduate into, and I would stop selling pre-owned also. So that's what I would do to double. Ashley, why don't you start with what you would do to potentially sell stuff that's twice as expensive?
Yeah, so I'm glad you're bringing this up because I feel like this is something I've talked with, and that's the thing too that you mentioned with YouTube, and for me, Instagram is connecting with a lot of really great sellers who have high margins and they're one-man show or a two-man show, and that's it. And like they deal with new items. They're really not doing the pre-owned, and their average sell price is high. And like so for me, it would just be new stuff. I would move out of pre-owned entirely, and move into liquidation and wholesale, and getting as much as I can. Anything that can't go on Amazon, going on eBay. I would probably do that. So yeah, new items, and then like you said, luxury items. Like skipping over anything that's just the luxury items like Burberry, Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Jeffrey Campbell. These nice items sell for a lot of money, and like it takes the same amount of work as something that sells for $10. So that's something that always makes me think, I love books. Like that's the thing too. I've been doing this for the last year and reinvesting 100%. And I've been able to finally get to a point where I have a nice little comfortable nest egg of money where I can now probably move into the new stuff and not break as much of a sweat as before and not have it eat up my inventory. Before I really literally did just thrift stores and garage sales my whole first year almost. And the margins were great and it built up my money quickly. But now, I'd move into new items, electronics for sure, continuing with OA. And maybe working with consignment stores. Like and I'd have to like figure out how they do it, but people who work in luxury consignment do very well. And they only source the highest end stuff. So that's something that I would love to look into. But yeah, for the most part, new items. That's what I would do.
That's a great point. I mean, there's a company, The Real, they went from 0 to 600 million in a couple of years, only selling really, really high end items for way too much, because in that market, way too much doesn't matter. You guys, I shared that store, Pineapple Express 15, that has a $1,000 average sale price. And he has 91 SKUs and does 50,000 a month on eBay. And that fits like on a couch. It's not even, it doesn't even need a shelf with 91 items. It's not very many. So that's interesting to look at $1,000 average sale price and potentially a $700 item cost.
Exactly.
Which is like super high.
And that's what I think I'm seeing too. Sorry to I hope I'm not like bogarting over here. But like, I really feel like that's true. Like spending more, those who are willing to spend more to make, I could spend $200 on an electronic, a microphone, right? And sell it for $300 and net 50 after everything. Or I could dig through a thrift store, find a Burberry coat, sell that for $100 net. I don't know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I had enough money, I could buy 20 of those microphones if I see the deal and net whatever 20 times 50 is, which I'm not doing in my head right now because I can't. My brain is fried. But you get my point. Like it's just people who spend a lot to make a comfortable amount of profit each month. It's just the spend. You'd have to spend a ton. And that's like, I would love to do that if I just had a bunch of money. So
Prince, you have a comment?
So yeah, that's basically exactly what I do. So instead of going out and sourcing on my own, I get these high ticket items and I sell them for, as I said before, like 30% margins, which is pretty good. It's not like the craziest amount of margins. If I buy a $200 item, sell for like 300, get like 260 from it. That's okay with me because of the sell-through rate and it's fast. It's quick and easy. It's reliable. I know I'm getting it. So that's why I could do it. But with items, like I'm not familiar with all the designer stuff. So I don't know how that would work. But it's definitely possible. You just have to do your research and make sure that, what you're selling it's a proven thing to sell,
Kevin, how would you double from $60 to $120 a piece?
Yeah.
What would you do?
It's tough. I mean, I wouldn't go outside of my realm too much because, again, I do this because I like it. So I would stay with shoes, but I would source things that are kind of like what we talked about last week, that have that like their own signpost type deal. So they draw enough attention themselves to market themselves, and they command a certain price range because of the attention that they stand. The only problem I have noticed is I even have shoes in this case behind me that are thousands of dollars. I think I have one pair that's worth like $2,000. But it's at the same time, when you sell that kind of things, those type of items, there's a lot of people that, I don't want to say window shop, but there's people that are stretching to afford that item, and they ask a lot more questions. There's a lot more time involved. So I've resold Yeezys and all types of stuff like that, Supreme clothing. And you were talking about Pineapple Express. I've seen the store. He does a lot more higher end designer stuff, and you can definitely make good margins on it. I definitely have the cash flow that I could literally take out, 2 rooms worth of storage and consolidate it into something that could probably fit in this office right now. But at the same time, the amount of time that goes into photographing those items, answering every single question about details, shape, where it was purchased. I actually sold a pair of Yeezys on eBay, and I listed it as in the description, brand new with receipt, and eBay blocked my account for a week because I didn't upload a picture of the receipt. So, and I hadn't even sold it or anything like that. So there is just a lot higher, there's a lot higher risk with those type of items. Again, if somebody, messes up with a return on that item, your money's out there. And to mess up on a $65, so my average sale price, yeah, $65, but I mean, how much did I pay for that? So, if somebody messes up on a return there, what am I really out? And I have thousands of items in inventory versus if I had 100 items in inventory with the same ROI and I took the same return rate, but answered a boatload more questions, and one of those things got messed up, I mean, I'm actually probably losing money and spending a lot more time doing it. So I don't think I would ever do that. But if I had enough cash that I had to burn it, that would be the way I would do it quickly.
So I want to share something interesting on that. There's a store in LA called Round 2. It's a vintage store that sells a lot of high-end sneaker stuff,
Shout
hypebeast
out to
stuff.
Sean.
Yep. And an interesting thing is that there are people that, let's say, for example, Yeezy selling for $550 locally at the store. They'll buy the items for $400 and then resell them for $550. And people who want to resell will wait in line and pay $400 for it. Now, here's the interesting thing. There are other people who will just go in the line and pay people $450 for the same shoes to sell them for $600 on eBay. And it's just interesting that market exists. And I heard this guy that does it on the scale of around, he tries to buy 100 of the hottest releases that come out, make about 100 a pair. So $10,000 is his goal to make within 24 hours of getting the item. So he'll get the items that day, 10 grand cash or whatever amount he's putting out, post them on eBay. They'll be gone in 24 hours because of the hype behind the item. But he told me that he is expecting 20% fraud. He's like, it's such a high level item that because a unsavory person can turn that into cash instantly. And that's what causes the potential fraud, because they can go on Craigslist and sell that item in 10 seconds and send you back a brick. Or not that people on eBay would do that, but he's anticipating a 20% possible issue with the highest of highest hype items. And he's literally expecting a 24-hour turnaround. That's how fast of the item. And I've done that too. When I waited in line for a week for Nike Foamposite, Nate Robinson shoes, which is my best flip ever. I paid $180. They sold for $4,000. So I had to wait 7 days in line between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Nike made us wait in front of their store during the hours for 5 days to get the shoes. Nate Robinson came, signed them all. Every single person auctioned them, and like the lowest was like 4,200, and all 23 of them sold. And that's amazing, but it took 40 hours of waiting in line to get that. So I don't even know if that was worth it or not, but it was amazingly interesting looking at something that's that hot and there's only 23 total items. But if you're expecting 20% fraud, that means probably 4 of those pairs, something happened to the people who listed those. So kind of interesting. Sam, let's talk. If you wanted to double your average sale price, what would you do?
I just have to buy to double. I'll just sell like high-end items, I guess, instead of selling used items, my clothing, and for electronics. I start selling like more servers instead of just PCs. Instead of selling them for parts,
Hmm.
I would start like selling them as a whole, and that actually, shipping like as a whole is harder than selling for parts. Yeah. But like my long-term goal is to get into Amazon and start buying items that are worth from 15 to $20 profit, but selling one item quicker with a good ranking, like selling at least like 100 units a day, and instead of selling one item one time. That's my goal.
I just want to bring up one more point on that. I met an Amazon seller that only sells items that ship freight. And so nobody wants to do that because it's a huge pain in the ass, right? So he's like, I want to make $500 profit per item. But what I'm going to do is list all these freight items in the country. So he's just calling people looking for heavy equipment, dental stuff, doctor stuff, heavy machinery, stuff that you wouldn't imagine that would go on Amazon. And none of it is gated because Amazon doesn't care. So none of these items are gated. They're super, super heavy. He's telling me like his average shipping cost is $1,700 per item, right? So who even wants to deal with that? But what an interesting way to go into a market where there's no competition. Nobody wants to do that. Everyone wants to ship first-class items that fit in their pocket. So very interesting. And a $500 average profit is also ridiculous. But like, people are looking on Amazon, even for dental, like a dental chair. Who would have thought instead of calling a dental equipment company, you type it in the Amazon? I can't believe people are looking there, but it's available. So that would be something that we would have to do if we wanted to increase our average sale price to 2,000. We have to start selling equipment, instruments, stuff like that to get the average sale price into the thousands per piece. If we
I
didn't
have
do luxury stuff. Go ahead, Sam.
Well, I have actually done that before with Amazon. Like we sold one Mac, like the old PC. Like we sold it for over $1,000, but we can only ship that item only in one box because it was so heavy and it just, yeah. So we have actually done that. We still do that if we find a really good item that sold pretty well. We still do that.
So also, I don't want to turn anybody away from high-end clothing sellers. I know more than a few used clothing sellers that have an $80 average sale price. It's not impossible, but it is potentially achievable. So Laura, why don't we start with you? If you wanted to double your average selling price from 30 to let's say 60, how would you change your buying habits? Or would you buy something different, or how would you approach it?
Well, here's the thing. I love used clothing. I love sourcing for used clothing. Part of the fun of this game for me is finding that item that will flip for that high dollar amount, right? And at the end of the day, like the reason I became a reseller was because I enjoy that flip. So I don't want to get too far away from the reason I decided to open a store to begin with. And I also don't want to limit my client base. I mean, I'm right with what Clutch Swag said. I don't want to limit what my client base is. Like, I want to be able to serve that military wife like I was that's looking for a good deal on eBay because they can't afford it in the retail store. Like, why would I limit, by only selling high-end goods when I could have such a wider client base when I'm selling a mixture of high-end goods, of middle of the line, and also some auction items that I can sell for 99 cents. Like, I don't want to limit the amount of people that are coming to my store based on what I'm selling.
That's a good point. Also, just on that same topic, 86% of the stuff that's on eBay is new. So it's not the majority of stuff on eBay is new. And of the 14% of stuff, I believe the average selling price is $20 for pre-owned stuff. So if you're going to move a high volume of pre-owned items, that's definitely a business. There are huge companies on eBay that they just scale that. So you may not necessarily have to raise your average sale price. You could just sell twice as many items.
Exactly.
And it's just an idea because in the pre-owned category also, there's significantly less competition. I mean, how many used of that item really can there be?
And I want to be, I mean, that's part of being an expert of your craft. You know, I want to be an expert sourcer. I want to be able to go out and go to these stores and know exactly what I'm looking at know if I can turn that for a good dollar amount. I mean, that I think is what sets people apart in their store, is what, not just like the dollar amount they're making per item, but if they're able to find those things that can flip for that amount. And like I said, I want a wide majority of items in my store. I want a certain percentage that's a high end, a certain percentage that I can get 30 to 40 bucks for, and a certain amount that I can get 10 to 15 for. And that's just, like I said, it's just keeping the client base that I really want to have, which is everybody. So
awesome. We're not going to go too much over. If you guys have to leave, let me know. That's fine. But just a couple more questions. Mary, if you were going to double your average sale price as an experiment, if you were going to, how would you approach that?
I believe I would do probably purses. I feel like I've seen, it's like you said, items that you could throw on the couch and I don't have to take over. I'm working with a 1-bedroom, well, I have a 2-bedroom apartment, but I have the entire 1-bedroom, and I know at some point I will have to, I mean, I'm maximizing as much as I can, but I know at some point I'm going to need a little bit more space. And without that, maybe if I get into hard goods somewhere with the purses, I feel like purses have, designer purses at that point would have a higher, they're all higher, what is it called?
Higher ticket.
High ticket. And I feel like then I'll have less items in my 1-bedroom. I'd have a larger ticket item in my store. But I feel like now that I'm experimenting on full time, I feel like a lot of the hard goods I'm selling are usually higher priced. So if I continue to pick up more hard goods, the way that it's looking, I think I'm already going to increase my average sale price. Going into Amazon, that I've also dabbled a little bit here and there, I've realized that like it makes more sense to me to purchase electronics, because that's usually what I'm sending into Amazon. And then again, higher ticket items where I paid $200, $150 to $300 to get about 800. And that's already happened for Prime. Actually, I bought a bunch of items to take back into Amazon for higher. And I feel like that's already increased a lot of the sales in Amazon. And again, these are the items that are being sought out. So kind of excited to keep sticking to Amazon and sending higher ticket items to test the waters with eBay and kind of compare my experiments there.
Awesome. So Prince, I know you already have a pretty high average sale price, but let's say you were to double it and try to get into the 1,000. What do you think?
Just sourcing really high items, but personally, like I don't really look at average sale price, and that the reason for that is because I sell high ticket items and very like low price items. I sell batteries and accessories for like 10, 15 bucks, but I also have the high ticket items, and you know, with that, it's kind of hard to see what my average sale price is for one specific item, because now I'm also getting into clothing, and that's going to lower my average sale price, but that doesn't mean my profit's any lower, right? It just means that my average sale price from all my sales are, one certain amount. So average sale price to me is kind of just irrelevant. If you're selling in one category, it might matter to you, but for me, it doesn't.
Sounds good. So now we're going to go in the reverse order, talk about something we want to work on this week. So Prince, now what?
Okay, so now, now that I have the capital and everything, I really need to start getting inventory. So this whole week, I'm going to be really, really, really like getting down and calling these people, like cold calling. Like it's going to be a lot of hours of work. So I'm actually going to record these calls, and I'm going to put up some interesting content for you guys to watch. And, I'll go from like wholesale clothing I'm going to try this week. I'm going to buy a couple bales of like jeans and all the other kinds of things. I'm going to do a lot of sourcing, from calling pawn shop to my big company suppliers and looking for other potential suppliers. So yeah, that should be an interesting thing.
That is very cool. Recording some of those phone calls is very useful, because probably one of my most common questions is, how are you getting deals? Like, how come they say there's no deals, and then I see you making a deal.
Right.
So,
yeah, and he's putting in the work. He's hustling.
So I'm going to do exactly that. I might bleep out like the products that I obviously talk about or that I'm trying to source, but I'm going to try putting as much of the conversation as I can on the call. So that should be interesting for you guys.
If you do some stuff in person, see if you can rig a GoPro situation so you can see that in-person contact, because I think people are also interested.
He's got like a chest harness or something like that he has.
I'll bring my little brother along. I'll have him record me like I'm a vlogger or something, And I'll
Perfect.
try to make a deal and negotiating in person too. That'd be cool.
Sweet. Mary, homework this week?
What I'm working on besides negotiation skills on garage
Mhm.
sales and yard sales, because I have like no negotiating. I worked retail and that the prices were set. I didn't really have to do that. With growth comes maximizing. So I am actually implementing a new inventory system, which is back here. This is going to be bigger than what I'm working with here, which only it was meant to look pretty, taking after your setup. It only takes 10 items per box. Here we're looking at 25 per box, and so I'm just going to keep it clean and keep it organized because I'm gonna keep growing.
New inventory system is pretty scary, so keep us updated too.
Yeah, sounds good.
Laura?
I'm hoping to hit 1,000 listings by tomorrow because I'm going to eBay Open on Wednesday and super stoked about that. So I'm hoping to hit that $1,000 or 1,000 item mark by tomorrow. And next week will be bigger goals, but I'm going on vacation to eBay Open. So.
Perfect. And I'll see you guys there. If you guys have any questions for the eBay Open, Laura and I will be checking it out. So ask away. Sam, homework this week.
Combining my accounts, my eBay accounts together, and sending over 600 units to Amazon, like always, and listing extra with not the stuff that I'm moving to the other account, but new 200 listing on the closing account, and just keep listing. Yeah.
Awesome. Kevin, this week, what would you like to work on?
So mine's a double-edged sword. So I actually did a giveaway recently with 2 other resellers that were mentoring somebody that hasn't resold before. So this week is his first week. So his success is as much positive in my day or week as mine would be. So I'm going to try to get him at least to 50 active listings, probably maybe 40, maybe 50. So we'll see how we do there. And then for myself, I need to correct some mistakes that I had in my listings. I tried a new HTML editor and that went very bad for me. I actually decreased I usually do over like 20,000. I actually lost like $4,000 because this one week I changed all my listings and my sell through just went down so bad. So I got to go back and manually fix all those. And then I didn't hit my 200 pairs of shoes this week. So I plan on listing. I'm going to try to do another 200 pairs listed on the site this week. And I'm hoping that'll push me up to $50,000 listed on eBay active.
Sweet. Ashley, what's going on this week?
Gosh, that sounds so awesome. Like I like salivate when I hear that, like a $50,000 store. So my goal this week is to get caught up. I am way behind because of the camping and my kids being here. So really it's to I have a bunch of stuff to list for eBay. I bet once it's all listed, I'll be over 200 listings, so that's like 60 listings that I could get done. And then I have about 4 giant boxes I need to get to Amazon. So this will be like a catch up week, and I have quarterly sales taxes that I still need to get in. So like catch up and account maintenance stuff, that's like the not exciting part, but I'm not going to let myself source until it's all done. Otherwise the mountain will just grow and it'll just get crazier. So
Awesome. Good catch up week. So Prince, you're going to work on maybe recording some calls. Let's see, Laura, you're going to try to get to 1,000 listings. Mary, what was your inventory system?
Yeah, we can add before, I bet 450 items there. Let's do 600. I'm going to really push it. This is real full-time time.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Commitment.
Push it. And we are the average of our habits, so we can build up those listing muscles. Well, I think we'll be solid. So real quick, or I'll put everybody's link to their social in the description below. Does anybody else have anything else to add for this week?
I'm looking I want to create a landing page for my wholesale account, so I'm going to be working on that as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Wholesale landing page. Because all that stuff that you're doing is not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week. And thank you so much for being on the call, and reach out to me if you need anything.
All right. Peace out.